Welcome back into another video. In today's video, we're going to debate which killer is most likely to come into DBD as the new killer for Chapter 21 based on the new clues out there. There's really interesting new information I wanted to share, including a dev talking about Pennywise. Whether the next chapter is licensed or original, we're going to organize all the clues into one place. How's it going, everyone? My name is Schmuckles. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. The dev who talked about Pennywise was brought to my attention by Hesitant in the comments of one of my previous videos. Big thanks to Hesitant for bringing this to my attention. I also wanted to say that only 13% of you are subscribed to the channel. Subscribing to me is the best way to support the channel. It really helps me out. I post videos like this all the time, so make sure to subscribe. And if you think you are subscribed, double check because I've heard that YouTube can unsubscribe you. I also stream on Wednesday and Sunday nights. The link for that is in the description below. To be clear, when I posted this video, there weren't any Chapter 21 teasers or any other information other than what I'm about to go over. We're going to gather all the information from previous videos as well as some new information. There's been a lot of really crazy things said about Chapter 21. Some people think since we had a really iconic licensed chapter that came in last, we're destined for an original chapter for Chapter 21. If we take a look at the past, we did see Leatherface, Freddy Krueger, and Pig all as consecutive chapters. Then in 2019, we saw Ash, Ghostface, and the Stranger Things all as consecutive chapters. So although an original chapter seems most likely, we're going to explore the possibility of a licensed chapter for Chapter 21 as well. I'm not saying a licensed chapter is most likely. In fact, we're going to go over the list of what I think is most likely at the end of this video. We'll start with Pennywise. Behavior could surprise us with a Pennywise chapter, which we talked about in a previous video. There's a connection between New Line Cinema and Behavior through the Freddy Krueger DLC. New Line Cinema owns a Nightmare on Elm Street reboot, the It franchise, The Shining, and The Nun. You definitely need to watch the previous video if you haven't already. I really can't stress enough the fact that The Nun and The Shining were on the satisfaction survey tells us that this connection between Behavior Interactive and New Line Cinema is real. I think Pennywise is on Behavior's wish list, and this would be a giant iconic surprise for Chapter 21. Hesitant in the comments of the last video told me a dev actually talked about Pennywise yesterday on stream, so this clip is from July 15th, 2021. Hesitant asked McLean on live stream, "Hey McLean, just one question. Since you guys worked with New Line Cinema, is there a chance we can get a Pennywise license? I know it's been asked a lot, but I would love any clarity." McLean responded this.
It's a great question, Hesitant. I don't know anything about the world of licenses or what's possible, what's impossible. It's hard to say. And for people who are like, there's already a clown, or he would be too powerful for the entity, while like I do appreciate the theory crafting, I think that we have a talented enough squad here that whatever concept you can come up with, we could probably find a way to make an interesting playable character out of it.
Let me know what you think about this response in the comments below. We're going to further analyze this response later in this video. Mr. X is definitely iconic and requested. We know that these are two factors that Behavior looks at closely when deciding which killers come next. Kote was hesitant to answer whether or not a Mr. X chapter would ever come into DBD. Like, he avoided the question altogether. If you want to see that video, you can click on the title above. Although Behavior already has a connection with Capcom, we've never actually seen two licensed chapters from the same franchise. Resident Evil might be a special case since it's so iconic and has really grown the DBD player base tremendously. I also wanted to address something that's been in the comments a lot recently. Mr. X cannot come in as a Nemesis legendary because Nemesis's power is a tentacle strike and Mr. X does not have tentacles. When Behavior does an ultra rare or legendary skin for killers, the power actually doesn't change, so this power would actually not make any sense for Mr. X. Therefore, only an Albert Wesker or William Birkin legendary skin for Nemesis makes sense, but I wouldn't count on it. They could also see the success of a Resident Evil chapter and start planning on Mr. X or Lady Dimitrescu for a later chapter, meaning not for Chapter 21. For Candyman, obviously Chapter 21 would be really well timed with the Candyman reboot starring Tony Todd as Candyman and directed by Jordan Peele. We talked about some of this in a previous video, but Tony Todd followed DBD on Twitter. Some people think it's possible that the Candyman chapter was rescheduled when COVID pushed back the reboot release date. There was a long stretch where 1 out of the last 6 chapters were licensed, when Behavior usually does 1 to 2 licensed chapters every 4 chapters. Leaks by Daylight found an interesting tweet. Apparently on April 21st this year, someone tweeted, "I want to see a Candyman horror game with Tony Todd in it." And apparently Tony Todd himself responded, "Just #wait." I think Tony Todd might be in danger of getting sued for that. He's talked about in the past signing contracts saying that he won't leak information, like for example when he worked on Call of Duty. If this tweet is true, this could definitely be talking about a Dead by Daylight Candyman chapter. Also, something that's really interesting that Leaks by Daylight mentioned is that Gun Media has been developing a new horror game ever since the Friday the 13th game died because of the lawsuit. I heard rumors of a Gun Media Leatherface game or a Freddy Krueger game or even a Michael Myers game. Candyman also makes sense too if they're going for an iconic horror game that kind of matches the Friday the 13th game that they had. However, the Gun Media game director Wes Keltner posted a mysterious tweet and tagged Blumhouse in the tweet. Blumhouse owns the Halloween reboot from 2018, so it's possible that Gun Media's game has Michael Myers and not Candyman. This whole Twitter leak was posted by Leaks by Daylight. I've been told that they've been known to stretch information or in some cases make things up. I don't know very much about it all, but that's what I was told. So I went on Twitter to see if these tweets actually exist, and they don't. I searched up this user's profile and found no evidence of this interaction. So either Leaks by Daylight wasn't being honest or this whole thread was deleted. It made me think maybe Tony Todd requested that this whole thread was deleted and it was a legitimate leak. Chapter 21 could also be Dracula. If you haven't seen the Dracula theory video that we posted, you can click on the title above. We said that the Castlevania version of Dracula could come in through the Konami behavior connection. Dracula is another iconic possibility, which is always a plus. Behavior has said over and over that they prefer to go for more iconic characters. This could match a Halloween-themed chapter as well, although there has been speculation that a Saw event is coming for Halloween. We saw the inspiration for Dracula, Vlad III, make an appearance in Tome 7. Tomes have been known to foreshadow future content because The Blight was foreshadowed in Tome 1. However, since Tome 7 was recent and The Alchemist was actually foreshadowed all the way back in Tome 1, it's possible that this could be setting up a Dracula chapter for the far, far future. And of course, Chapter 21 could be an original creation. These chapters are a lot easier to implement. A lot of people want to see a banshee or a werewolf. These are iconic possibilities that we haven't seen yet. Also, given that there's one more licensed chapter in year 6, which isn't guaranteed, objectively speaking, without looking at any of the evidence, there's a 2/3 chance that this next chapter is original. I asked my subscribers which original chapter they would most like to see, and it was interesting to take a look at the distribution that I found. I also want to acknowledge the wildcard licenses. I consider Pinhead a wildcard possibility. Pinhead is a super iconic classic. As of right now, the original Pinhead is owned by New World Pictures. Alien and Predator are wildcards too, especially since Disney has licensed both of these killers in Fortnite. But Fortnite has an insane collaboration history with Disney. We'll talk about that in a future video. Behavior is also connected to Dead Rising and The Evil Within. We've talked about this in a previous video as well. These aren't as iconic, so I'm not so sure. Slenderman is another wildcard. He's super iconic and super requested. Based on all these ideas, we're going to do a countdown for who is most likely to come in for Chapter 21. Number 5 is Pennywise. I had Pennywise higher on this list until I saw McLean's comments on Pennywise. Imagine that Pennywise is the next chapter. Do you think that a dev would talk about why Pennywise is a possible chapter on a live stream? If Pennywise was the next chapter, I'm pretty sure McLean would have either avoided this question altogether or been really brief when answering that rather than volunteering this information. He wouldn't have said something that could have been interpreted as a leak. Number 4 is Mr. X. I feel like my hopes for a Mr. X chapter is slowly dying. One of the main reasons it's dying is the fact that 4 survivors came in the Resident Evil chapter. It seems like their work with Resident Evil might be done because they squeezed the most iconic characters from Resident Evil into Chapter 20. Therefore, I think Behavior will move on to different licenses or original ideas. Number 3 is Dracula. I think it's only a matter of time before Behavior brings in an iconic vampire into Dead by Daylight. That being said, the reason Dracula sits at 3 is because I'm not entirely sold that this killer will come in for Chapter 20 in particular. We saw Vlad III in the new tome, and that could be foreshadowing a vampire chapter much farther down the road. Number 2 is Candyman. I'm more on the side that those tweets were real but deleted. Even the style of the tweets matches Tony Todd's other tweets since it uses a hashtag, and Tony Todd uses hashtag tweets regularly. That being said, the theory that the Candyman chapter was rescheduled to match the reboot might actually be true. The reason Candyman is number 2 is because it's possible Behavior is simply unable to get the Candyman license, which they'll never tell us. So I can't put Candyman as number 1 since there's a possibility we'll never see Candyman. Number 1 is an unknown original chapter. It's definitely the safest bet. Chapter 21 could definitely be Candyman, and I could totally be wrong about guessing an original chapter, but given all the information we have right now, an original chapter seems like the highest probability. I think for Chapter 21, we can expect a male original killer. Possibly Boon Totem related perks will come in with either the new survivor or the new killer. In general, when guessing a chapter, except maybe the anniversary chapters, an original chapter is the safest bet. We have 13 original chapters and 7 licensed ones. Note that the licensed chapter count doesn't include Bill, Ash, or Leatherface. I feel like it's still nice to know which licensed chapters are most likely, even if an original chapter is most probable. Taking a step back from the speculations made, everything said in this video doesn't point to any of the licensed guesses coming in for Chapter 21 in particular, except maybe Candyman. Some speculated killers may be on the roadmap for the reasons we talked about, but not for Chapter 21. When I asked my community, most people seem to think that Chapter 21 is going to be an original. The Year 6 roadmap is already set, and we're going to be very ready for any teasers that come out. They probably wouldn't change the order of the chapters even if we're right on track with some of these speculations. And I have to say, it really feels like we're on the right track here for what's to come in DBD. We'll definitely post more and have a much better idea once teasers come out for chapter 21, which won't be for a while. Typically, teasers come out about a week before the chapter's announced, so we're talking end of August, early September. There's a chance that I will be on vacation when some of the teasers are posted. I'm still going to try and post a video while on vacation if that does happen. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified when I post those videos. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.